Yo, B, let's go.
You may have seen the clip and maybe heard word of mouth, yet another podcast. Man, what could it be about? Is it truth or opinion? A couple of contradictions. We're here to challenge tradition and twist your vision. So we set on a mission to bring you rebel wisdom.
Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Wisdom. I'm Julian here with my boy B. And today we're going to do something. Personally, for me, all of our topics are fun, but this one I think is inherently a little bit more fun, a little bit more socially relevant. The modern question, the very relevant question of who would win in a fight, 100 men or a gorilla? So anybody, if you have social media, I feel like this has been unavoidable for the last week or so. I know you've come across it at least once. If you're not on social media, you haven't heard about it. Dude, I feel like it's taken over the internet recently. And we thought it'd be fun to dive in. So in that, B, what have you seen on the web? People are commenting on it like, oh, this is stupid. Like, I feel like there's a majority that thinks who would win, either a gorilla or 100 men. What have you seen majority of people saying?
Dude, first, I just gradually started seeing the trend. Like, I didn't know it was a trend. I kind
Yeah.
of realized it by how often I saw it on social media.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of crazy. The White House posted, I think,
Dude, it's everywhere.
What did was it on X or Insta or something? But
That's
I
hilarious.
saw it. I knew that it was a trend because when White House posted, I think it was on Instagram. They mentioned it was like, oh, they realized it's a trend, which I thought was kind of funny that the
That is
official
funny.
White House
right.
account was talking about this. But from the quick glances I looked, I think it was majority gorilla over the 100 men.
That aligns with what I've seen.
Okay.
Did the White
Yeah,
House say what they thought? Like what their stance
No,
was?
no. I think they're like, oh, when people are talking about one gorilla versus 100 men, we're, whatever
They
they
just
said.
referenced it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lame. I was hoping they took a stance.
That would be funny. Like,
That would be hilarious.
it's like what is it? Like, it's not, it's playful,
Yeah.
Low, minimal consequences.
For sure.
And then, okay, yeah.
Yeah, just that. I think it's a fun concept to play with. I won't say we'll never know what the answer is. I guess in some scenario this could play out. I don't know why 100 dudes would be going at a gorilla, but it could happen. But yeah, dude, I just think it's a playful topic that it's interesting. And if you really, at surface level, you're like, oh, it's stupid, probably, gorilla, whatever. But if you really think about it, there's I feel like nuanced things that you can kind of dive into. And in true rebel fashion, right? We're gonna go against the grain a little bit here. I personally think 100 men would take a gorilla. And we can. I mean, I don't. What do you think?
So there is a clear advantage in this one particular sector within the human race, which is planning and coordination. I think if the humans were to win, they have to execute. They have to plan well, plan correctly. Because if you were taking the average, or the scenario is average men, average male, 100 of them, they're not gorilla experts.
All right, but also let's take people don't come for the flip. What about an average man and an average gorilla? Because not every gorilla is I mean, they're all massive, but what I mean?
Yeah. But with that being said, not everyone in the human side is a gorilla expert. If I saw a gorilla, I have no idea what the correct strategy is. And that's going to be a key point, because I think if done correctly, humans will win. But I could also see scenarios where you planned incorrectly, and then the plan doesn't work out, and therefore humans not winning.
Yeah.
So this one's tough. I mean, if I had to put an answer on a multiple choice test, I would go with 100 men. But again, I think in the first like 10 minutes of the fight, I think
Yes.
you can kind of see which direction it's going to go.
Got you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's fair. And it's like this one I think is so easily debatable too because I mean some people think there's an obvious answer. I don't think it's obvious. Like I could see the gorilla winning, but again, if I think through all the things that come into play here, that's why like it's like the more I think about it, the more I could see humans winning. And it is when you think fight, right? It usually comes down to the physicality piece is like the first thing anybody thinks of when you think of like just a physical encounter, right? So yes, by so many obvious reasons, the gorilla is stronger. And then you know, I keep seeing, or I actually had this conversation with some of my coworkers too. So either I like saw it, you know, online or actual in conversation, people bringing up the sheer force that a gorilla brings, and like, oh, a gorilla could easily destroy a man, and I agree.
Yeah.
But again, it's not a man. There's strength in numbers. Um, and I have to bring this conversation again. I think 100 men will win, but a gorilla's just incredibly strong, and I want to like highlight their strength before, like, as we get into it too. So I just typed in, you know, like statistics of a gorilla, and it, you know, it says it has notable strength and power, but then it gives some numbers to it. So they're estimated to be 4 to 10 times stronger than the average human. That's saying a lot. And silverback gorillas specifically, which is the dominant males, can lift approximately 4,000 pounds, and they have a bite force estimated around 1,300 pounds per square inch, which is
That
just. And it says that's double a lion. So yeah, we get it. Gorillas are extremely dominant in the physical category. But I think there's some ways we can counter that. All right, we're back. Had a little mic issue, technical difficulties, but we're fixed and we're back. So, yeah, I was just saying that the gorillas, for those obvious reasons, bring this sheer force to this conversation. But I think there's a couple ways like we can combat that. But I think you're about to say something though.
Now there's okay, there's so many things I want to say, but to just to point out one particular thing about the force thing, right? I also saw multiple things that it can bench this much and it can lift this much, it can bite. I saw, but here's the thing though. It doesn't, I don't think it necessarily matters how hard you can bite as long as you can break through the human's limb or a bone, right? So if it takes, I don't know, if it takes 500 psi of force per square inch or whatever, and that's how much it takes to break up, like where you can't, where the limb of that human that's getting bit becomes unuseful. So you don't need to necessarily have more force after that point because that limb is useless now. You don't need to go up to
I get. Yeah.
1,300 psi, but because people harp on that, it's like this is so powerful. Yes, I get that. I get power is important, but at some point, it doesn't necessarily matter how strong they are as long as they're strong enough.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And
Mm.
even if they bite through like the wrong parts, I would say limbs are the wrong parts. I don't think you're in a, I mean, maybe, but like if there's 100 people, like it'll be kind of lucky to the point like where you're getting bit on like the side of your
Yeah.
ribs or like your heart or like your lungs. That's kind of unlikely. Uh,
Right.
so it would be sure, maybe a limb or two or 10 will go, but you still have 180 limbs after that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
uh, I did. I just want to say that because I was also thinking about the sheer power that they brought up in for
Yeah.
the for argument for the gorilla.
Yes. For sure. And to that point, like, right, if it only takes Except 500 psi to break a human bone. Anything out of that, I could pick some other arbitrary animal and say, well, you know, a gorilla has 1,300. This other animal has 5,000 but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's once it's over 500. Like at that point, it's just a cool statistic on paper, but it doesn't, in the context of a fight, it doesn't bring any extra added value
Right.
above that 500, which is basically what you're getting at. And also, I'm thinking, right? So yes, I agree. A gorilla could easily dismantle a male man. Um, that's the same. That's
Male. Yeah.
yeah, that's redundant. A
Well,
male,
I mean,
or maybe not. I
you
don't know.
I mean, you might not be wrong in saying that
Yeah,
in today's day and age.
right. Whatever. Amen. Like right, like it'd be pretty easy for I imagine, even like a gorilla on the weaker side, but while it's biting and or ripping limbs off of man, there's still it's being overwhelmed by numbers. Like I feel like people think they're like the men aren't in a line and it's like, all right, now you
Yeah,
fight
it's
him,
like
he's dead. All right, next, he's dead. No, while the gorilla is taking on 1, 2, or maybe 3 men, there's still 10 attacking it from all, you know what I mean? It's that overwhelming factor that I think would be huge and could be part of the strategy, a strategy, like you said. I don't know the right one, but a strategy that I feel like is getting neglected.
yeah. It's like in action movies, they like fight against like 100 people, but
Yeah.
they literally fight like a person or two at a time.
Bro,
And
yeah,
the
like
other
the
one's just like eating popcorn on the side, watching,
just
and
has the
it's like,
sword
oh my,
like
yeah, it's my
waiting.
turn. Yeah, it's like,
Like, what are y'all?
yeah, that one, that's dumb.
Like,
Yeah.
exactly. Dude, that's such a great a great analogy. Those always piss me off. 'Cause I'm like, this is not realistic. Or people have guns and they're like taking turns shooting. Like, if you have multiple guns at multiple angles, this would be so easy. You all
Easy.
shoot like whatever. It's not gonna get out. Yeah, but yeah, dude, I agree. Um, yeah. So I think the, I mean, even before you get to the strategy, the numbers piece alone, I think is yeah, like a huge factor just for.
Mhm. How many,
Uh,
like, obviously, we're not fighting. If I was a leader of the humans and I'm like strategizing and, I'm the shot caller, for example,
mhm.
like, obviously, we're not going to have one person at a time fighting the gorilla. It's pretty dumb. But also, we can't have 100 people fighting them at the same time. It just physically, like
Correct.
space limitation.
Spatially, yeah.
How many humans can't like how many humans can realistically have an
Yeah.
upper hand in fighting one gorilla at a time?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like 8 max?
Yeah, I was thinking like 15. But
15?
I'm also so there's two I have two ways to attack that question. It depends if we're all like on our feet, a flat surface, fighting like eye level, or if we crowd, like if we have people climbing over people, like somebody's at the gorilla's ankle, somebody's like hitting the waist, somebody's
Yeah.
like on him hitting the head,
Yeah.
then I think you can get like legit like 20 people. But if we're all standing just next to each other, like in a circle around the gorilla, yeah, maybe less, like you said, 10 to 15, but it,
Yeah, because I was thinking the grabbing the limbs with the 8 as well.
yeah.
But let's lay out the setting first, because I think
Bro, you just read my mind. I was like, we got to get the environment
this
first.
is
Yeah.
very critical and important
Yeah.
fact that we cannot gloss over.
Yeah. I agree.
So what's the parameters of
So I think it can be much like that. You sent me that we both watched a video that was like a simulation. It was almost
Mhm.
like a gorilla versus 100 like human like bots. But
Mm,
how I was in that simulated room, I think to get the most, I guess, unbiased or
yeah.
fair fight, it has to be a plain, like a void almost, like not outside. There's no sticks, there's no trees, even the surface is even, there's no difference in terrain,
Yep,
there's no
yep.
elevation, altitude for breathing. It is the most even air quality, even terrain, no weapons, just like a big box essentially, like, and then go. Like no, the walls are perfectly vertical with nothing to grab onto, nobody can climb, as plain as you can get. I think that's when you'll get the truest representation.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Yeah.
No, I do too. And I want to also add the 100 men, or not add. I need to clarify with you. The 100 average men, right? So it's everyone's gonna be the same exact physique, same exact weight. It's just the most average dude you can possibly think of times 100.
Okay.
But the person, are they willing to die? I think that's a big factor. And I think for to have an actual argument on seeing who is better, you have to make because the gorilla is very territorial. They, at least from the articles I read, they are willing to die for their family in a fight. Not all humans are, but I think it's important to say that these humans, to have like an argument's sake, like an even playing field, they have to be willing to die.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad we got here because my answer, which I haven't said until this point, is contingent on some things. This being one of them. If you have an average person, and this is average in all regards, height, weight, etc., and they're not willing to die, I think the gorilla will win because
Yeah.
the strategy piece falls out the window. You have to overwhelm the gorilla. You have to have coordinated attack. Like there is I think no matter how you slice the scenario, there is objectively a large portion of men that are going to die. So, yes, I would say yes. But then I took it one step further and I was like, what are creative ways, like in real world scenario, where you could find these people? So although the environment and the playing field is the same, I'm like, what if we have people on drugs? Or what if we have people on, what was that drug? It was like a couple years ago. It
Bath
was like,
salt.
yes, where people were like eating people's face
Yeah.
off. Like, what if people are on that? Or what if you have 100 men from jail that are on life sentence? And they're never expecting to see the light of day, but all they do is eat and work out every day for, their life. And they're like, hey, 100 of y'all, y'all gonna have to fight this gorilla. If y'all win, you can get out. Or you say, you know what I'm saying? So I would say, like, if they're on drugs or like they're properly motivated people, that's
Yeah.
when I'm saying, like, so this kind of differentiates the question. It's do I think a gorilla could take 100 people? Yes. Depending 100 men even? Yes, but if we got a certain, I don't want to say quality of man or properly motivated men, that's when I think, because I think in the question, some people think there are no variant of 100 men that could ever be the gorilla, like under any conditions. That's where I disagree. I think there
Oh,
are certain conditions where 100 men could be the gorilla,
yeah.
but not in
Absolutely.
every condition would any 100 men be the gorilla. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So that doesn't, I kind of talked around your answer, but like if it's just average men with again, not on drugs, no motivation, like, hey, Joe from finance, come here. Like, guess what? You're
Sure.
gonna be one of 100 men that are gonna fight this gorilla today. Yeah, like we're probably, yeah,
Right.
the gorilla's probably gonna win.
So let's combine all that, right? So terrain is the square box with no variant and anything in perfect condition that you're not sweating, you're not cold, you're not hot,
Yep.
you're not
Yep.
uncomfortable anyway. 100 average men that's willing to die, that's sober. And I guess the average gorilla, which I looked up some statistics for weight and height,
It's
but
good.
I think we got to put, I mean, what was the silver
Silverback
something?
gorilla.
Silverback gorilla. I think they go to around 5'5" to about 6. So I mean, I don't think I don't know if the argument would change whether if the gorilla is 5'5" or 6. So we
No,
can just
neither.
say,
Too much.
you can just
Yeah.
6-foot gorilla, 400 pounds. Like that's their average physical composition, I guess.
Okay.
So with that, okay. So
Mm,
that's the setting of the fight.
okay.
And it goes till someone dies, or
Yeah. Yeah.
either all 100 human
All,
die or the gorilla dies.
and this is where I get strategy. So just to propose some things, what if the men presented themselves in I don't know, you ever hear, like, if you're in the woods, you encounter a bear, you're supposed to, like, make yourself look big because the bear, like, gets scared away.
Yeah.
I don't know if that works for gorillas or whatever, but I don't know. Let's say the men all climbed on each other or whatever, and they just made themselves like a big blob, and the gorilla, they're in this box. And the gorilla's like, okay, the gorilla doesn't attack. He just stays on his side. He's appears to be timid, scared, right? And let's say they just wait. And then, time is still on a normal in our universe, like time still happens. So let's say the men stay on this side, the gorilla stays on this side, and then the gorilla falls asleep. Like, what's preventing the men from attack? You know what I mean? That's another, like, it doesn't have to be like start brawl. Like, there's so many ways this could go, and then they
You
attack you
think
while
I don't think
asleep.
the gorilla would sleep in a fight
It
though.
has to at some point be like, what if 2 days pass? It's not gonna see, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it
So
doesn't attack, it's gonna sleep at some point. I mean, so are the men, but
I mean,
I mean, they can
at
at
least
least
on
do
the men,
shifts
you
or
can
something.
have like a rotation of like, all right, 20 of you sleep
Exactly.
at a time, and so we have all well rested people. But at the same time, like I cannot. I mean, in the setting that we giving, I would I would assume that the setting for the gorilla, just like how the men are willing to die, the gorilla feels threat, therefore is going to attack
But why does it feel threatened? Like, there's just
because
100
that's the
dudes in there.
setting
Let's say
of the
they're not yelling.
battle.
Elaborate. Because right now it's just 100 men and a gorilla in a box. Nobody's been.
Yeah, but that's like saying in a UFC fight, just because someone's not doing something on the other side, that you're gonna not fight.
Okay, good point. But those
So
men
in
know they're cognitive beings that's like, hey, I'm in a fight getting paid. The gorilla doesn't know that. The gorilla just knows I'm in this box and there's 100 objects over there. That's it. Like, it doesn't know it's a fight until maybe. I mean, it might. I think they're aggressive beings, so it might just start going attacking. But that's what I'm saying. Emotions are a thing. It might just sit there if it's not getting attacked. Maybe. This is just a hypothesis.
Okay, so we can. I didn't think about it like that, but if that plays out like the scenario, we can call it a human victory.
It's more likely for a human victory. Yeah. If
Yeah,
we attack
because
it
I
in its
mean,
sleep.
regardless of the scenario, like okay, gorilla sleeping, we attack it while it's sleeping. It's gonna turn into a fight at some point.
Oh yeah, one out of
Yeah,
doubt. Yeah.
and I guess my thing is like in an aggressive fight where bell rings and
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe not brawl right away, but like it's like intense, like someone can
Yeah.
strike at any moment type of thing.
Yeah.
I still think the humans would have the advantages, and I think you said given certain circumstances, and I think I'm on the same boat with you. Like it's not if you do 100 battles, humans aren't winning 100% of the time.
Yep.
I think they're gonna win more than 51 times.
And I agree with that. A, f- a fun way to introduce, I don't know, I think just it helps me get perspective is, and this is a talk I had with some of my coworkers, to the point, and this is more to the people that say the gorilla is just too strong, it's way more dominant, and all like agility, power, strength, stamina, right? It's just sheer force can overcome 100 people. I tried in my head, I was like, all right, how can I twist this scenario to gain the person on that side of the argument perspective on where sheer force isn't always and give you absolute victory? So I asked the person I was talking to, I was like, all right, what if 50 rabbits, or excuse me, I was like, all right, it's you versus 100 rabbits. Do you think you could take 100 rabbits? And I think they were like, no. I was like, well,
Really?
honestly, of 100 aggressive rabbits, yeah, they. Do you think you could take 100 rabbits? I don't think I could take 100 rabbits, even in my angriest, most aggressive state.
I think I could.
That's why it's interesting. I and even that, I don't even know if it's a good because we're closer in size to a gorilla. I don't know if the ratio is similar. Like, I think we're closer in size than a gorilla than a rabbit is closer in size to us. So that
Yeah.
even, yeah, so
I mean, you people are saying like these gorillas are huge, which they are huge
they are.
on our standard. they're 6 foot. They're 6 feet tall.
Yeah. Is that
It's
which
not
is
this
I
like
thought they were a little taller than that. I'm not gonna lie.
they're
Yeah.
not like 10 foot, 800
Right.
pounds.
Right.
Like
Right.
a 6 foot, 400-pound people exist in the world.
Exist. Exactly.
I mean,
There's
the
no
difference
rabbit that
is
exists. That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The difference is it's 400 pounds of like muscle and strength versus if there's a 400-pound human, they're not going to be that strong. It's probably out of
That's it.
shape.
Exactly.
So I do, yeah. Like I think people are just kind of putting too much emphasis on the force and the power, or I guess the scariness of it. But don't get me wrong. Like I'm not saying I would never be scared of a gorilla. I would be
Oh,
terrified.
dude, what? Yeah.
But I still think humans would be able to take it. And what do you think from like a strategy point? Like, what would you? All right, we got your sleeping strategy,
Yeah. I mean, that's one. Just
playing the
wait.
long game, and I
Okay.
think I'm on the similar note or similar strategy where I wasn't thinking of like, okay, I'm thinking still in a brawl scenario, but I would play defensive on a human standpoint because from there's couple flaws in the way the gorilla fights, just like naturally, their like ability to fight. And I think humans are same way, but the difference in this scenario is that we have 100 humans.
Yes.
And the two downfall, the first one for gorilla is they are built and from their instinct from an instinct level, they are used to and good for fighting one enemy at a time.
Mm,
So with that being said, with humans having tactic and planning and coordination easily over a gorilla, you can have a scenario. This might be this might be over exaggerated, but like one person is the bait, yelling, like trying to
yes.
intimidate the gorilla, where
Yes.
you have
Yeah.
99 behind them trying to do something, right? So that's
Right.
one flaw. Second flaw is gorillas fight in like a energy burst fighting style
Mm,
where they go like the article that I was reading is like, I mean, I think a YouTube video. They have these like they call it berserk moments where they go angry and crazy, fast agility, like physical capability for like a little bit, and they stop. And after some time passes, they go back at it again.
Yeah.
But it is also noted their stamina is much l- shorter, while humans, on the other hand, we are still, from a physical standpoint, we're similar to a gorilla in a way that we're probably meant to fight one person at a time if
Yeah.
it's just one human. But the big difference is stamina, where humans are built for like aerobic type exercise, where we're like people are running marathons,
Yo. Yeah.
right? And then think about it from I guess the average human isn't running a marathon, but it's still on an average to average scale, humans are lasting much longer stamina wise than a gorilla. So I'm thinking besides the natural things, I'm gonna throw that out there because this is a hypothetical anyway.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to sleep, we don't need to pee, we don't need to they don't need to eat, they don't
Sure.
need to sleep, we don't get water or whatever, just
Yeah.
straight fighting. The longer the fight uh, the longer the fight prolongs, I think humans will have a better and better advantage over time,
Yes. Yes.
with the caveat that there's not too many casualties. I think there
Mm,
has to be some assumption that some people are going to be a meat shield.
yeah.
Like they're
Facts.
going to try to, of course, like
Straight up.
survive as long as they can because that's going to be helpful. But then, like they're going to die. That has to be that way. We can't
Yes.
fight
Yes.
in a way that you protect everyone. Someone has to be a human sacrifice, probably like 10, and then you got
Yeah.
to get the other guys to finish the job, kind of thing. That's at least what I'm thinking from like a obvious flaw that a gorilla has over a human.
That was good. You said some good stuff. So I'm stringing off what you were saying. I'm trying to think like in this scenario, what do we have as the 100 men that the gorilla doesn't, right? And I'm just thinking, how can we leverage that? So gorilla has strength. Got it. We probably shouldn't try just sheer force on force. Even with 100 people, we have communication. Like we have numbers, we have higher thinking capabilities, right? And we have so like I would think like how to lean into that stuff. So I'm thinking, I mean, you already said it, coordinated attacks, right? But maybe come in waves or pods of, I don't know, what, 25 or 20, you know what I'm saying? Just some type of divide and conquer, but even in that division, have numbers, like little like clusters or something.
Did you have
And
something in mind?
I don't know, maybe like, so you have 100, 20 goes in 100 5 times. Maybe like have like 20 in front of the gorilla, 20 behind, 20 on the side, 20 on the side. So that's 80. And then maybe like a 20-man reserve. And then like you said, to have one guy in the front, but instead of one guy, maybe have like the front 20 be like yelling and really loud, and the two side 20s and the back 20 just dead silent. And maybe they all slowly converge, tightening the space. And like while the front group is still yelling, they're very loud, and they're pretty much probably going to be the sacrifice 20. And then once they all converge, like then you just all out as many hands on the gorilla as you can, scratching. And this is the thing too. It's a gorilla, right? So its skin is naturally more like if I took a pencil, I mean, it would still probably pierce a gorilla. But what I'm trying to say is their skin is like, if I scratched you, it would probably hurt and I could break skin. Whereas my nail, if I scratch a gorilla, it's probably literally going to do nothing. So it literally needs to be beat over a long period of time for it to actually, I think, start to feel the effects. But it has soft spots. Like I'm going for eyes. I would
I was
like
gonna say
prioritize
eye.
eyes. I was like, this whole group, like group A, whatever, all of you focus on getting to its head and literally clawing its eyes out.
Yeah.
And then once it's blind, it's not dead, right? The fight only ends once it's dead. But let's say you could probably get to the eyes within the first, I'm gonna say half hour if you overwatch. Like hour maybe. I think 100 men could gouge its eyes out. And then once that,
Dude, I
now
mean,
we have a huge
very
advantage
huge
at that
advantage,
point.
yes.
Even if 50 have died, a blind gorilla versus 50 men, I'm taking 50 men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you gotta go for the wing. Is it a male gorilla? Does it have nuts? If you kick me in the nuts, I know I don't know if gorillas
That
work the same,
actually,
but like
I mean, in
that'll
a
probably
survival
discombobulate it.
in a
You
survival
know what I'm
setting,
saying?
it has to. Yeah, you're right, dude. Yes. I mean, I
Eyes,
would.
nuts. I mean,
And I was also thinking,
stuff.
if we can get to the eye, I think we can over a prolonged period of time, if we held the limbs and whatnot, we can also get to the head repeatedly, and they're
Yes.
not like immune to concussions,
Thank you.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
even though our punches would be weaker compared to him,
Oh
but
yeah.
also like think about like UFC or boxing. They're wearing gloves
Mhm.
because the human fist is too powerful to actually
Yeah.
fight. But in this scenario, like it's going like fist, knuckle to knuckle.
Yeah. Or
I think
heels,
you can
kick,
do,
like whatever.
yeah, I think you can do serious damage to the head over beating it for 20 minutes straight.
Yes. Yes.
It would be hard for me to believe that, they have no effect. At least the punching has no effect on the human or gorilla brain.
Bro, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I think it's some like detain it somehow, like close its space, disable it. That's like the nut, like the kicks in the nuts, the repeated thumps on the head, the gouging of the eyes, and then destroy.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's good. The detain, disable, destroy.
There you go.
That would be the 3Ds. Like, because it's not just like try to kill it right away. No, if you just off sheer force try to kill it again, maybe 100 dudes win if they're like 100 insanely fit dude. But even still, that's like you gotta go for like weak points. I'm thinking.
I'm on the similar thought pattern it's very similar to what you just said. I was also thinking waves. The only difference that I want to put, not the only difference, let me just walk through mine. It might just sound very similar to yours, but first, I would take two people. One person is going to be standing the entire time, and then the other person is going to get on its shoulders. So they have like a heightened, they
Yep.
have their heights doubled, and he's going to be the commander of the humans. I think we need to have one leader pointing stuff out and be like a tactical mind that they will never fight unless it comes to the last two people. So we got, because I think we have the advantage of planning and coordination, like we talked about, but that's not getting fully utilized if 100 people are just kind of,
Just
because we can
random.
go into a plan with, you said 20 each group, but then like soon as a gorilla starts tearing someone next to
Yeah.
you, I feel like it's gonna be like a scary, might not be able
Yeah.
to act. But then if you have a commander, quote unquote, that's directing like, hey, blah blah blah, like, go here, no, now retreat for second wave, go in, first wave, back off, like, I
Dang, bro, were you in
think
the military or something?
no, I mean, I was
Commander.
thinking about this. I was like, what would I actually do?
Yeah.
Because you have to, like I said, if you don't execute, I think humans will lose. And this is one of the law scenarios for humans where I'm thinking where soon as bodies getting ripped apart, I think the fear factor, the ability to not execute on the plan is going to be the downfall of humans. Because, like I said, I was talking earlier about like as time, like the fighting time prolongs, I think humans will have an advantage.
Yeah.
But that's with the assumptions that we're not dying off too quickly.
Right.
Because if a person is getting ripped apart every minute, and then I mean, gorilla's tired as hell, so it'll be like one tired gorilla versus 20 people. I'm still taking a gorilla at that point,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
we have to preserve the numbers and also extend the time. So I would put the two people in the back, one on top as the commander. And I would honestly, yeah, and from there it's 98. So I would probably divide that into 4 groups. So there would be 2 extra. But I also want to I was also thinking 10 for the each from 10. Okay. So imagine gorilla in the middle. So this is very similar to what you said. So
Yeah.
you're surrounding it with 20, 20, 20, and the last one maybe has 16, whatever.
Yeah.
But within the first 20, I want to split that into 10, 10. And then I'm going to split it like a semicircle where behind the gorilla is 10 and in front of the gorilla is 10.
Okay.
And the 10 original people is literally a meat shield
Just
diversion
bait.
tactic.
Yeah.
They are I don't know if I would put them on top of each other to like on the shoulders to make it taller, just because that you lose a lot of agility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then probably for the person at the bottom, they're probably losing
They're
stamina like
just
crazy.
yeah.
But 10 people, I would be like, they'll be jumping up and down, yelling the entire time. And while that's happening, I'm gonna play defensive, right? Like we're not engaging first. We are gonna try to wear out the gorilla mentally and physically. Mentally through just sheer intimidation.
So you're just having those tenders yell and just get wrecked. Like if the gorilla
They're
attacks
not getting
them,
right. We're playing defensive. If
so they're just yelling. That's it.
yes, like moving around, like, but we're not
Got you.
stepping closer in.
Got you.
And I would like to hope that as a gorilla moves one direction, we all kind of like gradually move that direction, so that center of the circle is a gorilla at all times.
Yeah.
But from there, soon as the humans are getting the brawl is imminent, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where we wasted time enough already. So I'm gonna have the 10. I'm like, hey, bait squad, go in and try to scream and grab onto whatever limb you can. And from there, I would call on the back 10 people within the first squad to have 2 people each grab a limb. Arm, arm 2, arm 2, leg 2, leg 2, and then the last 2 on the neck. And within that, I'm going to have to judge, cuz so the people on the limbs, the 4 limbs are just weight, and then like being able to
Yeah.
not fully immobilize the gorilla, but to
I'm
slow
not gonna
them
lie.
down.
I feel like he could shake those off incredibly easily, but
You think so?
I'm following you. Yeah. Especially the arms, probably just like wave his arm and yeah. I think so.
Dude,
Like, I don't think they're just gonna be able to hold his leg and like ride it. I don't think so.
How? I would think with how thick their arm and legs are,
Yeah, they
I
do got
think
some
I'll be able
thick
to grab
ligaments.
onto them for dear
Okay.
life.
Okay.
How would the gorilla take you off though? If
Arms, momentum, I think he can swing it enough or like beat his own, like, hit his arm and hit somebody off. And legs, I think if he just like runs or like aggressively shakes. It's kind of like riding a mechanical bull. You know how it's like super hard to, it's like jerky and that, but I think it'd be like times 5.
I don't
Unless
think they're
just
swinging
in
around.
that small of numbers, I think it could work if you add more, but like 2 people per leg and like just 2 people on an arm, I think he'd be able to quickly get them off. But again, while that's happening, other things could be happening. Like it's not,
Yeah.
he can't all of them at one. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I think it might have some purpose, but I just don't think they're gonna be just hanging on and he's just gonna be like, oh, like chilling.
I don't mean no. It's not that you're gonna immobilize them completely, but it will slow them
just
down.
slow them down. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
An average human, I would say they weigh, I don't know, 170, 180.
Yeah.
Let's say 150 for easy numbers for 2 per limb.
Sure.
So that's a 300-pound weight on your arm. I don't think he's gonna be swinging with 300 pounds on its arm.
It says a gorilla can lift 4,000 pounds on.
They can't lift 4,000 pounds. Okay, so I still stand by what I said.
Sure. Yeah.
I think having 2 per limb will slow down or at least tire out the gorilla where it's effective. I don't think it's not going to do anything.
Yeah. Okay.
But the main 2 people are the neck people. Neck people are, I'm hoping, while they're slowed down, they're able to jump. And I don't care if they die. They're trying to poke out an eye each or have someone do 2.
Right.
And this is where having a commander, I think, is helpful. Is like in the heat of the moment assessment, I think the 2 per limb is not enough. I would just swarm 20 more people on top of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. And we still have 60 in reserves.
Right.
And I'm thinking after the eye is bulged out, I would retreat the forces.
Yeah.
I was like, everyone just back the fuck off.
Literally.
Just leave.
And just let it
flail. We'll regroup from there. But from that point, I just cannot imagine a scenario where a gorilla stays not in a troubled state. Like they remain calm.
I'm with you. Yeah.
There's no way. Like they're gonna be angrily like going crazy because I mean, dude, if I got my eyes freaking gutted out, like I would be in shock and angry and crying and yelling with pain, right? So I think that would wear out the gorilla easily. And with that scenario, I still have 3 more reserve forces.
Yes.
And I didn't think about the balls, which is a great strategy to add. But the thing that I was really getting confused, like stuck on, was the actual fatal blow.
Yeah, like what? Yes.
I don't, because I was thinking, I couldn't think of more. Hopefully, you can help me out. One was the concussion stuff. Like you just keep banging the head until the freaking gorilla dies.
Yeah.
Everyone else is holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
So they're like pretty much they can't move too much. I was thinking like, could we choke out a gorilla? I don't think
so.
I don't think the gorilla's neck looks pretty thick. So it's
I don't think so either.
Yes, okay. So if the concussion blow to the head until they die plan fails, how would you kill the gorilla without any weapons?
So I'm going to back it up, and this is also going to get a bit dark, but I'm going to back it way up, actually. So one thing you kind of touched on, we just said indirectly, is like emotions. Because like you said, once people start seeing people die, there's going to be emotional reaction. Once the smell of dead bodies hit, emotional reaction. What I can't account for is how the gorilla perceives these emotions. Like, I don't know how a gorilla's emotional state fluctuates, but that all takes a point. Now, what I'm getting this is, right, there's going to be dead bodies, and we said there's no weapons and stuff at problem start. But once people die, could you fashion people's dead remains, i.e. bones, into weapons? One, that would take an incredibly savage individual to do that. But I don't think hitting a gorilla with a limp arm would do anything. But like someone's bone, may, or like a skull, may. Also, could you use those dead pieces as distractions? Like, there's 5 dead bodies. Throw the bone, throw arms, and let head, whatever. And the gorilla's like, I don't know, maybe eats it, and he's eating, and then that could be a distraction. I'm digressing, but there's all these secondary effects and stuff that, again, people aren't accounted for. Like, sure, you can't start with weapons.
What would gorillas eat? What do they eat?
I don't know. I think they're omnivores. I think they eat plants for sure, but maybe they eat meat. I don't know. I may be ignorant in saying it.
I
feel
guess
like,
primarily they eat a plant-based diet.
yeah. Okay, so they're herbivores, which is crazy given their capabilities.
Yeah, that is kind of, yeah.
Okay, so maybe they won't eat that human people, but this is super far-fetched. I don't even think that this would be possible, but, like, let's say you took someone's, like, forearm bone or femur or something, I don't know, and, like, sharpened it somehow, and now you have, like, shanks and stuff, then you could penetrate. I don't know if that breaks the weapon clause
No, I don't think
that
it
we put
does. I
in,
mean, you're
because it's
fighting
it's
with, yeah.
implicit in the battle, you know what I mean? Also, this is super disgusting, and also, you probably wouldn't be able to do this, but going along the lines of those remains and those bones, we're talking about eyes, weak spots, eyes, nuts. Would you be able to like stick some up a gorilla's butt? Because I'm pretty.
Maybe.
If you got, I mean, a moving gorilla would probably be extremely difficult. But if you were, I'm pretty sure that's gonna throw them off or disable them or disorient them in some way. But
They
again,
could also get more aggressive.
they could, they could.
Like, oh, the
Uh,
plan backfired. No more fingers and butts.
get it out his butt. But for the final blow, dude, once you get the eyes out, which I think that has to be like the go-to plan, or I feel like the most probable, has the highest likelihood of success is something involving like getting into its eyes.
But
At
that's
that
not
point,
fatal, though.
exactly what I'm saying, but that leading to success.
Yeah, right.
At that point, if the gorilla is on the ground, I think if we stomp its head, I think enough times, I think it could become fatal. But like even without eyes, it could stay like swinging and upright. At some point, it has to get tired and fall. Then I literally think we have to wait until it's on the ground, like vertical, and we just attack the head. But yeah, I don't think choking or even just punching will ever become fatal. They're just too strong. But if we can get it on the ground, I think we can just repeated blows to the head. It'll eventually die.
That's what I meant
Like they're
with the
not
punching.
invincible. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think something along those lines, dude, would work. But I want to back it up. You said 100 rabbits. You could beat 100 rabbits, right? You
I
think?
think so.
All right. You have. I'm gonna change it a little bit. You have 2 cats. Shout out to Teddy and Lulu. Do you think you could beat 100 cats?
Not emotionally, but
Okay, that's fair.
capability-wise.
While you think about that, I'd love that. That is the word I want to anchor on to for the duration of this discussion, because on the internet, I feel like the narrative is 100 men aren't capable of beating the gorilla, and that word alone is, I think, the key point. I think even if 100 men, like in a scenario, were to lose to a gorilla, I think 100 men are capable of beating a gorilla, and that's like the key. Like if we did 100, if we played it out 100 times, if one of those scenarios, 100 men could beat a gorilla, then that satisfies the argument that
Yeah.
100 men could, you know what I mean? And that's what people like. I feel like people are like, in no instance, in any scenario, like, could 100 men beat a gorilla? And that I think 100 men are capable of killing a gorilla. But back to the question, you versus 100 cats. I get you love, you're a cat dude, so like emotionally it'd be hard, but
There has
you're
to be
fighting for your
some
life.
There has to be some kind of clause where the cats just can't run forever, because I will never be able to catch a cat.
But they have to come to you at some point. Like, again, it only ends if all cats die or if you die. So, like, if they just
Yeah, but
run, you're gonna stay
what
alive
if
too.
so if I never catch the cat runs away forever, then now at that point it will be who dies of hunger first.
Okay. Again, let's say it's a brawl scenario. So, like,
The
the cats
cats
are
are
attacking you.
also coming. They're not running from
Yes.
me.
Yes.
I think I can get 100 cats.
I don't think I'll beat 100 cats.
How are you dying though? How are you
They
getting to
can
the
claw
point?
the teeth, claws? What? They could claw me, bite me to death.
Clawing isn't gonna kill
To
me.
to death? You could get clawed to death. Literally
I
like the
by the
same death.
time that happens, that's gonna take such a long time. By the
It
time that
will.
happens, I can probably kill one animal at a time. To
100. Same, they could claw your eyes out. Let's say you're blind versus 50 kid. You
No,
know,
but they
same.
don't know. That's not that
Yeah.
they won't do that. They
They
don't have
could.
the capability in their head to know that.
I agree. It wouldn't be coordinated, but if 30 cats just swarm you and they're all just clawing at you randomly, and then I feel like if cats are over your entire body and they're all clawing, some of them are gonna get your eyes. Even if you like cover your eyes, they're gonna claw your hands. You can be like, "Oh, my hands!" Now your eyes are exposed, and they're like, eventually your eyes are gonna get clawed. No.
I don't see a scenario where cats are that coordinated. That's the
Mm.
thing. I think we're adding a variable that's not true.
Okay.
Like they're not gonna be able, even if they attack at once, it's not coordinated. So they might all be going for my leg. It might all like, yeah, maybe they jump on my body.
You could also bleed out, like if they just f your leg up, like hit a main artery, or
But that's what I'm saying. It's a time battle, and I think I can beat them in the time.
okay, this is interesting. Um,
Because if I, and this is, I hate talking about this, but if I
yeah, I
grab
know
them
you have
by
two
the
cats. I'm so
neck,
sorry.
if I grab them, we'll say
Yeah,
rabbits, right? Some people have rabbits too, though.
yeah.
But whatever animal, if that
Weasel,
size and that capability,
raccoon. Yeah.
yeah. If I grab them by the neck and with my, like, the ball slams, like a workout, like where you grab the ball, you slam against the wall over and over. I would think you slam them on the ground. I think that's one or two blows and they're out per cat
But while
or
you're
per animal.
slamming that one, you're getting clawed and bit by 10. And
Yeah, I
let's say they're
think
not
that's fine.
coordinated. They're all wired, like they're all trying to like attack you. Like, I don't think they have to be coordinated. They're like climbing over each other to literally just attack you. Again, I think you would also be overwhelmed and just sheer pain everywhere. I don't.
Yes, you're a pain, but if I'm fighting for my life, I'm not gonna feel pain. Yeah, I mean, I torn ligaments in my legs before. I never felt it until I was after the game. I broke my
But that's
I have shattered my not shattered. I have fractured my bone, and it didn't hit me till like 2 hours later after the game.
yeah.
So I don't
I hear
think in
you.
a life
But
or death.
yeah. Okay. I mean, there's no way we can know. Okay, that's good. Do you think 100 cats are capable, even if it's maybe not probable? Do you think they're capable of killing you or a
Okay, so
guy?
like 1 out of the 100 scenario, yeah, I think yeah, I think so. I could trip
Okay.
wrong. Um,
I mean, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
could,
But nice,
yeah,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
something could
But
happen out of those 100 times.
I got you. I feel like though, well, not necessarily. I was about to say, I feel like if you pick one, like in the gorilla situation, you have to pick. It's close enough to the us versus 100 cats that if you pick 100 humans, like it would kind of make sense for 100 cats. But yeah, not necessarily because there's so many differences, such as cognitive function. Like you said, cats aren't going to have a coordinated attack. Um, but yeah, I think 100 cats would be probable and willing, and I also think 100 humans would also win in both scenarios. But dude, I
Mm.
saw one simulation where they were like, I don't know what this changes, but they were like, uh, 100 gorillas times like 10,000 men, where they pretty much just like multiplied.
Multiply by a scale of 10 or
Yeah, both sides.
100.
And I was like, I don't know. I mean, it kind of changes things, I guess, but I just thought, again, it was interesting to think about. And again, you just don't like, yeah, it was a simulated thing, but I was like, people are just taking this and running with it.
Yeah, and at least for the video too,
Do you think
like
that changes
that.
anything?
Yeah, the video I sent you was so flawed in the way that, like, it was those, like, action movie type of stuff. It was like
Mm-hmm.
humans, like, the 100 men were, like, scattered around doing random stuff because, like, it's, like, AI
Nothing.
generated
Yeah.
simulation, and
Right.
then, like, the
Right.
gorillas just going after, like, one by one, destroying them. Yeah, so that's the
Yeah.
scenario I could see.
All right. Bet. So yeah, I think we made a pretty well encompassed, I guess, argument. I mean, I think we talked about everything. So, what do you think in humans winning, right? What do you think are the
Mm.
two main factors that would lead to humans winning?
Um, so planning and coordination slash execution, that's
Okay.
one. That's one aspect of
Okay.
it. And I would
Okay.
say second is being able the longevity of the fight. We're not
Mm,
we need to use our stamina and our head to our advantage, and the longer time it
okay.
takes the fight for the fight to end, I think
Okay.
gradually we'll have a naturally increasing advantage over the gorilla.
So you think strategy slash coordination and time or longevity? Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to think what I think. I definitely think strategy can't get around. In the numbers, actually, I would say our biggest advantages are the numbers and the strategy. Yeah. And dude,
Do you think we
I got
could
humans.
hold down when the gorilla goes down, if enough humans go on it, you think we would be able to hold them
There's still
down?
enough. Yes, but honestly, I think that number is bigger than we think. Like, I think it's not like 10
Yeah.
humans. I think you literally need like 30 humans to like hold a gorilla down,
Yeah.
which if 30 are alive, but you know what I'm saying? Like an insane amount. Yeah. Um, yeah, I do.
What about the gorilla win case scenario? The win condition for the gorilla?
What would the gorilla's biggest advantage? What do you mean? Like, what would the whole scenario play out look like, or just what the gorilla's advantage is obvious, just physical prowess. Uh, but like, I don't know what it would look like. I think kind of like you said earlier in the early in this episode, it would look like the humans messing up. Like, I think the coordination would have to go wrong, or people. Oh, it would look like people being scared. Like once a couple die, people probably running, or just cowering like in the corner, and the gorilla just demolishes them. I think that is probably how the gorilla wins. Honestly, humans
Yeah,
being like humans.
because for argument's sake, we set the scenario, and I think the one critical factor that we all both agreed on was that the the 100 dudes, they need to be willing to die.
Yeah,
That's a big assumption and
that's
it's a
a
big
huge
s
assumption.
so if that's not the case, if it was 100 of me fighting against a
I was gonna
gorilla,
ask you that. 100 of you.
I think I would lose 100% of the time because, like, I don't like seeing blood in the first like, maybe, I mean, with crazy adrenaline going through, like, I probably are not gonna be phased by that. But if I saw another
Yep.
human's limbs being torn apart in front of me, I might go into, like, shock. I don't know. I never been in
Right.
that scenario. It
Great point.
and you know how we usually people talk about the freezer or
Fight or flight.
fight or flight?
Yeah.
I'm a freezer. I
Yeah.
freeze. I don't fight
Okay.
or flight. So that's a huge disadvantage for me or I guess a
Mm.
human fighting style. And
Yeah.
so I do it's hard because with the assumption I think we're definitely right. But without the assumption, I think I I think I might have to give it to the gorilla.
Yes.
But then if we and this is where it gets nuanced because if we I think by making humans willing to die, that makes the playing field even from like a mindset standpoint.
Right. Yeah.
Because what's not to say that, gorilla I mean, can they run away? I think so,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they could.
So in like a real world life fight, it might not like still without
Yeah.
weapons, it might
Yeah.
like end in a draw.
Yeah. I'm about to say, if a gorilla's getting its ass whooped, it might run away. But that's one thing that makes animals like the animalistic, like they just keep going no matter like
Oh, you think so?
literally until they die. I mean, some animals, yeah, it's just part of that I think our higher brain function is what gives us these all these variety of emotions and makes us like, okay, we're at a break point, like we need to give up. But I feel like some animals just can't perceive that, like, hey, I'm about to die, and it's just like, no, I'm supposed to be fine, like I'm just gonna keep going, like, dude, run away. uh yeah, so if you parallel the mindsets, again, I think humans, but that's the variation, like, you don't know, you could get a gorilla that's timid or a smaller gorilla, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Is it baby gorilla? I don't know. Um,
Yeah, baby. I think
yeah, I don't.
I think
I
baby
don't
gorillas would take the dub on that one. Hopefully.
know. Hopefully, maybe they're more energetic. I don't know. But yeah, nonetheless, super good. I don't know. I just think it's such a fun debate. Hopefully, we never have to see this in real life, dude. You know, Mr. Beast. Somebody was like, Mr. Beast
Yeah.
should create this like fall, like figure a way to make this like a real thing. Find 100 people, find the ground. I was like, they shouldn't. Like, when I heard that, I was like, I could low key see there would be like this being a version of Squid Games or like one of the games in Squid Game. Have you seen Squid Games?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I was like,
That's
God, no.
I also watched it's like similar to Squid Games called Alice in Borderlands. Have you heard of that one? It's a Japanese show, but the
Mm.
premise is similar where like they get put into a
Mhm.
game
Yeah.
and then they have to like find a way to escape.
Okay. Okay.
And majority of the people die.
Yeah.
But
Well, God, I hope society doesn't come to that. If we're so driven by entertainment that we're willing to do, something so savage just for sheer like proving a point, then we're gone as humanity.
what about this? What about this? One human that we can all collectively choose. So like the best
Think
fighter that's alive with basic weapons like wood and rock and
that changes the
nothing
game.
crafted, like nothing like a sword, nothing like
Yeah.
a shield. Like you
More
get like
likely for
wood,
humans.
rope, rock. Do you
Oh
think
yeah.
human that one person will win?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh wait, you said one person.
One person, yeah, one.
Oh.
The best human
Oh.
fighter, and they have basic tools.
Gorilla. Gorilla.
Gorilla on that one, probably.
Yeah. It had to be
Yeah.
at least like 10 super dope
10 of the
skill fight.
chosen.
Yeah, you're right. Dude. One, I don't care who you are, unless you got a projectile, a weapon that can fire. Close combat. I mean, maybe a sword, but like you said, no sticks and stones ain't breaking gorilla bones.
Yeah.
Sorry, nah.
Imagine you go in with like a sword and you take a slash at it, you're expecting to kill, just like
And
does
it's just
no damage.
unlike
You're
paper
like,
cut.
"Oh, shit."
Yeah. Dang. So is that it? That's the Rebel Wisdom take on 100 men, one gorilla. We're saying 100 men
With a caveat,
with the
I
caveats.
think
Yeah, you gotta
I
have.
think the caveat is fair, but with the caveat,
Yeah.
I would think the humans would win. Without the caveat of like true 100 average
Right.
innate, just I'm taking the gorilla.
Right.
So this one's hard.
You heard it here first. 100 men versus one gorilla. Dang, super hot topic. That was good. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We will catch you next week.